and gentlemen, welcome to the show. The fat lad Neil Pickup in the mother fluffing house. It's deep inside the minds of the greatest arm wrestlers in the world. Now then, we've got a bit of a history lesson here. For those of you who don't know, the face that's opposite me on the screen right now, you're about to meet a living legend. Ladies and gents, this young man originally hails from Israel, where he was a dominant force and a multiple national champion. For the latter part of his career, after meeting a lady in Sweden, he moved over and represented Sweden, where he remained a dominant force and kicking the living daylights out of everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is none other than Mr. Forearm himself, Mr. Sharon Remez. Sharon, welcome to the show, mate.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, it's quite interesting to get you on the show, buddy, because for the old-timers like myself, obviously you're a name that they'll definitely identify with straight away, and they'll know quite a bit about you and your early career. But for the new guys, the people who are new to the sport of arm wrestling, they may not be as familiar with you because, sort of dateline check, how long is it since you have been actively competing in the sport, Sharon?
2010.
2010. The last time I think I saw you, Paul, was probably Italy, the super match in Italy. I can't even remember.
With Edmir Faruko.
That's right, Edmir, yeah. And
no, I've seen, sorry?
What year was that, the super match Italy?
I think 2010.
That was that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've seen you also with Pascal at Gladiator Night in Switzerland.
Yes, correct, yeah. So, we're now 2020. It's been a while, Mother Fluffer. It's been a while. But
it's been a long time. But I have, I've not been arm wrestling for such a long time. I was never injured. I never had any physical problems. And it's really easy to, people say you can never come back. But I think I can come back.
Yeah, I think you can too, man.
People say that, arm wrestling now is not what it used to be. The level is much higher. But I think that the top people that were then can compete with the top people that are now. The difference is that there is much more top people now.
I agree entirely. Yeah. That's the view
so
I would.
It's not the quantity of the people that are in the top level, but I think in my top level that I think I can come. I feel that I'm coming back to it again. I can compete with the top arm wrestlers even now.
I mean, what an exciting prospect that is, mate. But I want to start way, way, way back. I want to go back.
Go back.
So let's wind the clock back to when we were both pretty young men, mate. Not like now where I'm old and knackered. So when what was your sort of first introduction to sports, mate? Was arm wrestling the first one you took really seriously, or did you gravitate from another sport?
No. I arm wrestled all the time since I was 6 years old with my mother and father. I think the strength comes more from my mother than my father.
Really?
My father was more like athletic, and my mother was, had this huge wrists, and strong.
So your mum was, because you had a genetic abnormality hanging on your shoulder.
That's from my mother, not from my father.
Wow.
It's genetically, my grandfather was a football player in the Israeli national team when they played.
For clarity, you're talking about soccer, like real, English football.
English, yes, yeah. Soccer, what we call soccer, yeah. And, my father was, of course, he was a paratrooper, airborne. He was an officer in the army, a lot of training there. He used to play basketball. I used to, by the way, I lived in London.
Really?
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that. What year, mate?
It was in the 70s until 76, from 70, 76, yeah. Okay. From the times of the Carry On team and Norman Wisdom and all these people that even you don't know who they are.
Oh, I do know. I am that old. Yeah, I do know Norman Wisdom and do know the Carry Ons. Yeah, when I was young, the Carry On films were massive at that time.
Yeah, so I'm from that time. And by the way, even you don't know, when I was a child in England, I saw arm wrestling on television that was held in pubs.
Oh yeah, the indoor league. The indoor league.
I remember that.
Yes, with Clive Knight. Same again. When I was, how old are you, Sharon?
I'm 56.
Holy, you'll be dead in a bit. That's terrible. 56. Jesus, I thought Pascal was old. You're really old.
I'm really old. I'm starting to smell earth.
Mate, 56. I mean, to be honest though, you've got other guys in this sport like, the classic example, Norm Divio. You know, Norm Divio's very, very old. I mean, he's in his 70s, maybe pushing 80s, and still looks incredible. But even now, there's some rock strong pullers like, Ron Bath, John's late 50s. And yet they don't seem to be too affected. You said, obviously, that you're not physically damaged from the sport of arm wrestling, so you've not got too many miles on the clock.
I have a little damage. You see my hand? It doesn't straight.
Yeah.
And my wrist doesn't go back on my right hand.
Well, is that a bad thing? I'm not sure that's a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing.
That's a good thing, mate. I'll take that one all day. That's it's like, I have this problem with this giant penis, but I have to walk around with it and cope the best I can, ladies. And Mrs. in the background laughing herself silly now. However warm the day is, that's not true. No, just getting back to what you were saying earlier, though, mate. It sounds like you had a pretty athletic pedigree with your grandfather being a national level football player.
Yeah.
So what was your sort of, where did you go first? What was your first?
I went first when we lived in England. My father bought me an headmaster tennis racket, and he wrote on it, "For your first step towards Wimbledon." And I started to train. He got me a trainer, and I started, training, taking tennis lessons in Hendon Park in London.
Mega.
And but the mistake he did, which is very good for arm wrestling, he bought me. There's different sizes on the grip.
Yep.
Tennis racket. He bought me top 8. It's called the grip. And I could hardly had a grip on it. But I was, it was ashamed to say that it's very hard for me. And I went and trained with this huge grip for years.
Also pilot.
And that was the beginning of that. But then we moved back to Israel, and that tennis part stopped, and I started to play basketball.
And what age are you at this point, mate?
16.
Okay, yeah, so you're a young man at this stage, okay.
And I played a lot of basketball. At that time we were out all the time. It's not like people, the youngsters at home all the time on telephones and Facebook and Instagram. We were out all the time, we were never home. It was hard to get you home, your father used to whistle to you to come back home. And we were very physically active. We were running, playing basketball, football. For me, it was mainly basketball. And I had a very good physical condition. I mean, endurance. I'm not endurance in strength, but endurance of running. I could run for miles. I mean, I used to run to the beach 10 kilometers, run bats 10 kilometers, I had very good endurance, which I think is very, very important for arm wrestling. I mean, your physical condition. I'm not against strong. I mean, it gives you the ability to recover much faster, and your level, it doesn't go down so much. And that was that. But in our friends in the group, I always used to arm wrestle. And since I was a child, we arm wrestled all the time with my father, with my mother, with friends. But at that time, we used to arm wrestle like that. We used to hold like that. Okay. Which is very difficult to arm wrestle like that. Yeah, certainly it is.
Really, then, dependent on the size of the hand, is really important at that. Just to sort of pick up on a point you said earlier, mate, as well. When you have the sort of tennis racket, I'm aware that that's obviously benefited you in the thick grip. But your mum, when you look at your mum, just aesthetically, has she got a very visibly large wrist?
A visibly huge wrist. It's like, you know, there is no difference all the way down. it's like...
Yeah. So you're in a situation where you had a genetic disposition to become strong in that area, which was sort of assisted by what you were doing with the tennis. So it's really kicked it on.
Yeah, it just kicked it on. And I was very good at arm wrestling, and all my friends knew that, and they started, you know, to push me to get bets, you know, pizza, for this, for that, and, you know, small things like that. And I was, you know, starting to get known in my city for being strong at arm wrestling. So he used to bring me guys to arm wrestle him, arm wrestle that. And at that time, I arm wrestled everybody. I arm wrestled, when I remember now and look at even at my first videos that I started to arm wrestle, it looked ridiculous the way I stand on the table or how it's really amateurish. But I was always very, very, very strong at arm wrestling and very explosive, which is something that I don't have anymore. I think it's something that you lose when you train all this static. You know, when I train here with the guys, it's, you know, I cannot just crush them because they don't get anything out of it. So I'm holding and holding and holding. So it's it's slow. I don't know what the name for it, but it's not explosive. But at that time, it was arm wrestling all the time. And then you come to the age when you're 18 years old, and this is the reason why Israel are not so good at sports. You know, they're not doing good at the Olympics, they're not doing good at football, they're not, because at the age of 18, everybody goes to the army. Yeah. And then how good you ever was at whatever you ever done, it's gone for 3 years. And so that is the reason. So you go to the army and everything is forgotten and you have to return to it. But arm wrestling was not a sport. It's just something you did for fun. Yeah. For me, I started arm wrestling when I was 26 years old. I mean, like I knew there was arm wrestling. I mean, on a table, like a competition. Yeah.
Was that in Israel that you discovered that, mate? Did you come across that in Israel itself?
Yes, and well, not many people know, but you know, arm wrestling started, you know, to get this kick after Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone, right? But not many people know it. Nobody knows that the movie Over the Top was made by 2 Israeli guys.
No way.
Yeah, Menachem Golan and Yoram Globes, GG Productions, 2 Israeli guys that made a few movies with Sylvester Stallone. Well, even Cobra, the movie Cobra that he did, fighting in Afghanistan or whatever it is. And Over the Top and another one that I don't remember. And in order to make promotion for the movie, for the arm wrestling, before that, so before the movie was filmed in Las Vegas, they made a competition in Israel.
Yep. Same in England. They traveled the world and they went to different countries. I came into the sport the same.
And they said who wins there will go and to Vegas and compete in the competition.
Correct, yeah.
And I missed that. I didn't even know that it happened.
Okay.
I was not there, but a year after I heard on the radio that it's going to be an Israeli championship in arm wrestling, and my girlfriend at that time says, go, 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 you're very good at it. And I said no. And the reason I said no is because not many people know I have a little stage fright. It's not so good for arm wrestling.
No.
But it goes over when I hold hands.
Okay.
And a great example for that is in the final in Manchester. You were there.
Yes.
And I was standing behind the scene to go up to the final. And you, as you called me up.
Presenting it, yeah.
You presented it, and I just couldn't walk up the stairs. There was a girl walking in front of me, and then she just went, and my legs just didn't work.
I thought you were waiting to get a better angle. She went up the stairs, but strategy is something I like to do.
So that's how it.
You were thinking you'd out now. You could have been switched on at that time. You'd have been like, "Yep, step 6 is the optimum."
So for me, armwrestling started the year after. It was '88 when I heard about that it was armwrestling, and I went, and it was very easy. I came there to the final, and in the final, I actually lost.
Okay.
To a guy there called Mickey Sharoni. Nobody knows about him. He's the guy that won the year before and went to Vegas to the over-the-top competition. And but he said that he was very surprised because I got him to the pad just like that. And he slowly, pulled me back and he won.
Did you have any technique then, Sharon?
No, I was saying, when I looked at it now.
Are we talking the classical push sideways? Or did you...
Yeah, push sideways. I was, leaning forward and I was like that.
Okay.
It looks terrible. I can't watch it. It's on Facebook, but I can't watch it. It looks terrible, but,
You need to send me that link. PM me that link. I'd love to see that. Really? Like, you've got to send me that. I'd love to see that. I really would. I
look terrible there. And he says I have a great of potential. And this guy, Mickey, he was instructor in the Wingate Institute of Sport. You don't know who Wingate is? Lord Wingate?
No, I don't think so.
I give you a little history in your country.
Perfect.
He's a major general in the British Army, which was a guy who he brought in the special forces into the British Army.
Okay.
This guy was also situated in Israel before Israel was born, before 1948. And he trained the Israeli soldiers, army. And he was very, very, it was tough training. And after he died in a plane crash, they opened an Wingate Institute of Sport, which is an institute that teaches elite athletes in order to get better in their sport, like swimmers, long jump, and And this guy, he says, he knows exactly what muscles should work in arm wrestling. It's a group of small muscles that everything has to be joined together and work together like a chain in order that you have to be a great arm wrestler. It's not only that. It has to have a connection.
Yeah.
And they built 30 years ago, they built an arm wrestling machine, which is as good as all the Mazarenko equipment that there is now.
Fascinating.
30 years ago. And we trained on that, and we started, training. We used to run for kilometers at the park before we came to the training. We didn't go to the table until we were out of breath. It was like in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And we got really, it was me and Nir Harel and 2 other guys.
I love Nir Harel. What a top guy. Nir Harel is a great bloke. I really, really have so much time for that guy. He's ace.
Right. He was
baby Sharon. Yeah.
He was very strong also. And we trained together, and it just went up like that in 1 year.
Do you know the machine you were telling us about there?
Yeah.
What it's interesting. What plane did it go in? Did it move to the side like the Mazarenka press, or was it pulling in a correct press?
It's pulling like this. You can put the handle in different angles. You can arm wrestle like that. You can pull like that. You can push. You can put it in different angles.
Very versatile.
If you look at my video on YouTube, Sharon Remez earlier career, in the end of the video you can see this machine. Maybe. And it's...
you still have it?
They have it somewhere in Israel, yeah. But now Israel is so advanced; they have all the equipment now from all over the world.
That's great.
So what were you talking about?
You were just saying that. Have you got it? You picked up. You were just saying that you were getting very strong at that time.
Yeah, we were getting very strong, and just in you get an epiphany. What night? Just everything came together. Oh, it should be like that, like that, like that, like that, and it just went up. And me and Nir, we were so over everybody, like miles over everybody in Israel at that time. And
were you studying any technique at all, mate? Were you, because you're obviously known for your top roll style. You were a classical top roller.
I was famous for my top roll because that was the easiest thing to do and it's the fastest thing to do, and I had no problem with that. And it seems that nobody could stop it, so why change something that is working?
Where did it come from, Sharon? Did you actually observe some of the US pullers who'd been competing in the sport for a long time?
No.
Where did you sort of top roll? Did you sort of almost fall across the technique yourself?
No, it's just myself. If this doesn't go, this feels better. Maybe if I do like this, it feels better. If I pull backward, even better. I have better hand control, I had great hand control. The wrist, gave me the hand control. But what we didn't do, which was really bad, we didn't even know about it, straps. We never used straps, which was, in the end it showed that it's not really good for me if I, don't train with straps because it's completely different. It's a different game with straps. So that's how it was in the beginning, and all that the fame that I got or the success that I got in these few years was just from 1 year of training, and from that time until now, nothing, just arm wrestling.
1
year, 30 years ago.
And you never trained, supplemented, weight training?
I never touched the weight, never. And only arm wrestling. So everything else that I did after that is from memory. And when I came to Sweden, which is, by the way, Andrew Cobra Rhodes' fault that I'm here.
Now, whoa. Tell me all about that.
Okay, I was in Venice, Italy, in a competition there. And all over the city, there's pictures of Cobra Rhodes with his tongue out. The city is full of, posters, arm wrestling competition.
For a minute there, I thought he'd picked up an ice cream sponsor. No.
So he was there with his tongue out all over the place, and the guy who invited me there says,
still does that.
His name is Giorgio Riello, but not the Giorgio that we know. There's another one.
No, not the Giorgio of now, the original Giorgio.
The original, yeah. And he invited me there, and I said, "Is Cobra here? He's all over the place." He said, "No, I can't touch with him." And I knew that he's in Sweden with a killer called Lele Badman.
Yeah. Axel.
Lele the big ass. And I said, I will call him. I will tell him to come. So I called him. He was in Sweden with Lele. They flew over to Italy. And after that, I won there, Cobra won there, and he says, "Why don't you come to Sweden and train with us a little?" And I said, okay. It was midsummer, it was beautiful, it was uni, and I said I would come for a week. So I came for a week, and then I stayed another week, so I stayed another week. And then I met a girl. It's a classical story. Then I met a girl, and I said, let's stay another week, and the week is, it's still going on. And I'm still here.
Long week, mate. A lot of days in that week.
A lot of days, and two children.
Tremendous. But it's kind of a cool story as well. I mean, that's a good story, isn't it? It's the kind of story you want. That's excellent. And we had Andy on here the other day. We were talking about you. but we'll come to that. Andrew Rhodes, we had him on here the other day, and we were talking about you in various parts of the show, actually. But I want to go back a little bit further to your sort of first World Championship experience, because I think you'd already entered the Worlds at that point, unless I'm getting my dateline.
I came to the Worlds 1988 in Eskilstuna, Sweden.
Yes, okay.
I came there after I won the first Israeli championship, and we came to Sweden, and in this competition I came fourth after beating the one who won. I don't know, Steve Talbot, I think his name was. I beat him.
He won in '87 in Crystal Palace, yeah, I think.
So I beat him during the competition, but he came to the final through the B side, and I lost there to Riccardo Nicolini.
Yeah.
With straps.
Okay.
Which I didn't know what the hell do I do with this thing.
What weight class were you in, mate? What weight class was that contested in? Because there wasn't as many weights, obviously, then. What weight
90.
were you pulling at? 90 kilos.
I was always 90 kilos, but I competed in 90 and 100 and 110.
Yep.
But I always weighed 90. Okay. I still do.
Jesus, I wish I could say that. I do not weigh the same.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's been a while. Anyway, we'll not get into that. It's too depressing. So 90 kilos, yeah.
I was 90 kilos, and I came fourth there. Was losing to Riccardo Nicolini and a guy from Brazil. And
is that Roberto Pereira, by any chance?
Yeah, I think so.
I went out to him. Yeah, nice guy.
And yeah, he was a great guy. He was in Switzerland 2 years after, in '92. I think he was in Switzerland.
Yeah, quite possibly. Quite possibly, mate.
So after that, we came back. I trained a little more, and then it was, we were in Greece.
Yeah, Athens. Yeah.
In Athens, and then I was much better. I won there in Greece quite easily.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw you in Greece, in Athens. That was my first Worlds. The first time I saw yourself. First time I think I saw Andy.
And they thought it was, I was, very dominant, so they put me there and Cobra on the stage to, to pull each other, and I surprised Cobra there, and he went off the table and he says, "Come to the stand-up table." With stand-up table, it was a little different on the stand-up table. And we were arm wrestling sitting down then.
Yeah. Stick under the arse. Yeah, I remember.
David Cheech. And and after that it was just upwards from there. And then I went to Houston, Texas. And in between, I won all the Futon Israeli championships, Israeli national. There was a lot of competitions in Israel. I won all of them. I got a lot of attention at that time. And we went to Houston, Texas. I won there also. After Houston, Texas, a few months later, I went to Paris.
Yeah, the Bercy Stadium.
Bercy Stadium, which, even though I won my weight class and came third in the overall to Gary Goodrich there and John, I think that if it was a double elimination, which it wasn't, it was single elimination, I could have done better there.
Didn't you get a pin off Gary there?
Yeah, I did.
Let's talk about that a little bit, mate, because that's not an insignificant win at that time. Because Gary was very, very, very solid at that event.
Gary was a top there, but it was a slip, and they put us in straps, and I didn't know what to do with these straps. Should I put backwards? Should I do that? Should I do that? And he just went sideways, and I didn't know what to do, and he won that. And then I was thinking to do something else, but I thought it was double elimination in the finals there, but it was not. And then it was me and Cobra on the third place, and I won that quite easily. But in the evening after, I arm wrestled Gary quite a lot there, maybe, 50 times on the table, after that. And I was very dominant there. Cobra was a witness to that. But it doesn't mean anything when you practice, when you do a spin.
No, but it's good for your confidence, though. What about John, mate? Did you pull John? I
never pulled John, but I did, on the practice table.
Mess around, yeah.
Yeah, and
how'd that feel?
It felt quite good, because at that time what I can feel honestly, John could not control my hand, and he said so also.
Yes, he's told me the same.
He could not control. I had so good hand control that I felt that, if it was a match, a real match, I will have control and I will win this. And again, it was the second time that I made John was in Yukon Jack in Tampa, Florida. I went from Sweden to Tampa, Florida for the qualifiers to Yukon Jack a day before there was a qualifiers. Mm-hmm. So I came there and I came to the final there against Ron Bath. On the way there was guys like Jim Norton, big guy, I was weighing 90 kilos, but it was 88 there, but I competed in the heavyweight.
Yeah.
And I came to the final there with Ron Bath, and I beat him the first match easily, just straight to the pad. I beat Ron there. Ron was very strong there,
Yeah, really strong.
Yeah. I beat him very easily, and then he went away, and, for a thinking time, and I think John went after him and told him to try to slip. And that's what he did. He slipped and put us in the straps. Mm-hmm. And I lost in the straps. Well, I gave a match, but I lost in the straps. And
did you find your position at all? Did you manage to get a top, or did he just put you into a hook, or where?
No, he put me into a hook. Okay. I didn't know the defensive top rolls like I know now, and all these things, to get the advantage, which I know now. If I knew it then, I would have won that. Mm. And Gary Goodrich came a day after, and I said I lost to Ron Bath, and he said, I thought you were going to win the whole competition. And well, that was that. That was the end of the Yukon Jack for me.
Yeah, but at that competition afterwards, did you pull with John at all, or any? How many times have you actually experienced arm wrestling, Brzezinski?
Just twice, 3 times.
Because that was a match I would have loved. Around that time, I would have loved that.
Everybody said that. Mm. Everybody said that, because I think that I could have been in the absolutely same level at that time as John. He had more experience than me, for sure. Because I remember on the Armwrestling Table, he, if he didn't go like that, he tried to do other things. I had just one move, but I could hold him wherever. He used to shoulder press, and I can hold everything. That was a great feeling. So I think at that time
you were sort of deemed as being the sort of one-trick pony. You had that silver bullet. It looked like, not dissimilar to Cobra. Andrew was the same. He had that one acid weapon, but Jesus Christ, what a weapon. You guys were very, very effective doing one thing, which is almost in some ways even more impressive. Because you knew exactly where you were going every time. It's just like you can't do nothing about it,
But I was not weak in a hook,
No.
I competed with Samuelson, Magnus Samuelson in a hook, and I used to pull him, easily.
It's funny though, your hook is not really a classical hook.
No.
You just it's actually, you're not channeling that much power. It's like you're not hooking correctly. You stay in a top roll and sort of just drag a close top roll through the guy. It's
a drag hook. The hook's more like this now.
Yeah.
It's more like joints. The joints are working.
You never did, whenever we've mucked about and you've gone in a hook, I've always felt like he's not in a hook.
No.
Yeah, you're in a supinated top roll.
The only time that I felt that, I I felt I'm strong in a hook, because I beat, in Virginia Beach, Ibrahimov.
Mm-hmm.
He came with me in a hook, and I pulled him back. Well, what you say is a hook is not. It's not really a hook.
Supinated top roll.
Yeah, he was very fast, explosive. Like boom here, and I managed to take him back like that. So I was not weak in a hook, but it's not something that I prefer. I'm much better now than I was in a hook now than I ever was.
And I know that. First of all, I don't want to skip any years. Before we move on to Virginia Beach 96, I want to just were there any other, after the Bercy Stadium, were there any other really outstanding moments for you? Because you sort of went quiet for a little while. You went away.
Yeah, I came to Sweden. And life just, takes everything away from you. And a child and a baby and work. So since then, I didn't train at all. All the competition that I came, like the Worlds in Manchester, or competitions like the Golden Arm, like that, I just went, I just went to arm wrestling just to remember a month before to just try little people. I said, okay, I'm going to the world.
Jesus Christ. Why? Why did you do that? When you knew you were at that level, it puzzled. I know we've spoken about this before over a beer and stuff, but it was like you sort of underutilized yourself. Because you're so clearly a God-given talent in the game.
Well, we cannot cry over spilled milk, but that's how it was. And
was it some kind of mental anguish or something from any losses taken, or was it just it?
No. I'm never ashamed to lose. Like people like Gary, and no. It has nothing to do with losses. I started by losing. Okay, I lost in the final, but it is a little different. When you have a name.
Oh, yeah.
You really don't. Oh my God, losing. It's depressing.
Yeah, the pressure barometer goes through the roof. And for those who don't know, let's talk about. Because you're a very humble individual in this respect. But we're talking about upper echelon of excellence at that time. You're ridiculously. It was pretty nonchalant. If you look at my first example of seeing you at what I describe as, and I'm going to say actually what your best year that I've seen you was 92. The Bercy Stadium may have been 91, 92 itself. But then Geneva, Switzerland, World Championships in 92. You at that event were ridiculously dominant. Ridiculously dominant. You beat the competition in your weight class like it was a joke. And then in the open class, you walked through everyone like it was a joke. It was just lunacy. There was no competition in the entire room. There's just no.
Yeah, I felt like John Bozing 2006. You know how good he was in 2006, John?
Yeah.
Him and Alexei Samarenko, I felt like, I don't know, everything felt into, God is shining on me. I don't know, it was a really great feeling.
I know it was that year that I was very keen to I was in my mind, I was doing the sort of mental calculations on who wins in yourself and John. His versatility against your acid move and what that would bring. I was asking myself a lot at that time, that's a match I'd love to see. And I spoke to Cobra at that time, and he was on the fence about it. I remember I spoke to Gary Goodridge. He came over to see a lady in the UK called Catherine Monbiot. Do you remember Catherine?
I think she died. Did she?
She did.
Yeah.
She did pass away, unfortunately. Bless her. But lovely girl and all, Catherine. Absolutely lovely girl. But Gary was over at the Unit 4, and he came to see Catherine, and we were talking about it then. And I said, who you got? John. And Gary said John would probably win because he was so versatile. He said, but on his day, Sharon is, very, very tough to beat. So it was an engaging match, and it's one of those ones for the ages. It's like, Muhammad Ali, Rocky Marciano thing at the barbershop scene. And it's one I would have loved to watch. I would have loved to see that. You guys meet at that time. Would have been bloody fascinating. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, 40 minutes into this first part
40 minutes have passed.
40 minutes has passed in that. Hey, what about that, eh?
I have a list here that I didn't go through yet.
Mate, that list is... keep that secret. Keep it secret, Sharon. That list is... We're coming to the list. Ladies and gents, if you like what we do here on the Supernatural Strength channel, please subscribe, like, tell everybody about it. This is part 1, done and dusted in the history books of a truly fascinating catch-up with my old mate Sharon. We will be back very, very shortly for part number 2, and I'll be putting the link to this one in the description. Until that time, ladies and gentlemen, take it easy, peeps.